Wonderful. We're back. Thank you, everybody. Out of executive session at 7:50 p.m. And then we'll go back to the agenda. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Multiple items on here. We'll require a motion to approve the following. Oh, yes, apologies. I forgot, I will not be here. We have a conflict with the March 11th meeting, therefore I would like to amend the agenda to also include a discussion of further future board meetings, number 7 under new business. Thank you for that reminder, Doug. So we'll move that to number 7 under new business, discussion of future board meeting dates and times. Okay, then the next item on the agenda is consent agenda. We'll require a motion to approve the following: the minutes of the regularly scheduled school board meeting of January 10th, 2024, the minutes of the special school board meeting of January 31st, 2024, the minutes of the Cornwall Cooperative Advisors meeting, January 17th, 2024, the contract of Mitzi Winia for the position of junior senior high school principal for the 2024-2025 school year, the conditions of employment of Shannon Gold for the position of custodian, the conditions of employment of Michael Freeman for the position of co-head track for the boys, the conditions of employment of Amy Sorensen for the position of co-head track coach for the girls, the conditions of employment for Nancy Lufborough for the position of assistant softball coach, resignation of Chris Seiler at the completion of the 2023-2024 school year with thank him for his service, financial reports, and claims. Do I have a motion? Motion by David. Do I have a second? Second by Cody. Favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, administrative reports, starting with the elementary.
I'll be honest with you, I looked at the agenda and it wasn't on there, so I didn't type anything up.
That's okay.
I was like, oh, no administrative report.
I'm off the hook. Anything just off the top of your head that you can share?
We're doing access testing is continuing. We did NAEP testing. NAEP testing is federal or state that comes out and our kids get tested. We don't see the results. It's just basically standardized test scores.
Next item on the agenda, high school principal report.
All right, so a really big thank you to our students and staff who served on our principal interview committee. Our students did a fantastic job. Staff did a great job too, and so thank them for that. Our high school chorus students went to Region Ensemble. All 5 small groups in both piano solos received High Superior Awards, so that was exciting. We took the 8th graders to a career fair in Wagner, which we do every year. That went well. And then our sophomores actually attended a career fair today in Emory, and that one rotates through schools every year. So it's the same career fair, different school hosts each year. So that happened today. Last week, we celebrated National School Counseling Week, so a big thank you to our school counselor for everything that she does. A couple of other things, we do have a CTE Parent Link survey around the building during conference time, so that parent survey link, that survey is actually through the CTE consortium. We do that every 3 years. We do, the CTE teachers take a survey, our students take the survey, and then our parents of kids in grades 7 through 12 take the survey. I did email that out to all 7 through 12 parents. I'm not gonna post that one to social media just because it's specifically for that group of parents. So I sent them, everybody got emails, and it's hanging up in the building. And that goes, we get to see those results, but we don't have access to see them immediately. It goes through CTE, and then when we go to our meeting, they'll show us the results from those 3 surveys. So just so you know what that's for. Accreditation update, we had that, I think it was January 18th, I'm pretty sure. We went through our accreditation, so it was a lot of work. And I think, let me just see, I have the report here, but we had 26 things that we had to do and complete, and each one of those has its own level of how comprehensive it is. And we had that meeting on the 18th, and we got through every single thing. We had 2 things that they came back on us for. The one thing which was good to know because I will tell you that I asked several administrators today about it and they didn't know either. And that was our student birth certificate verification. So we did have a few students without birth certificates. We've reached out to those parents, but they literally just did not have birth certificates. And some people think, why wouldn't you? But really, why would you? The only time you really need it is to get your kid into school, right? So, but what we did learn from that, or at least what I learned from that, is that if you do not have that birth certificate in the building within 30 days of enrollment, then we do have to go through the state's attorney. So it just gives us that extra level that I didn't know. And I asked several principals today, and they said, no, we didn't know that either, that you were supposed to do that. So that's good that we learned that. And then the other piece was principal evaluation, and Mr. Teach is going to take care of that and submit that back. Once we submit that, those two things back, that we've got those birth certificates in hand, which we're still waiting for. We have one of them, we're waiting for two more. Once we submit those things back, then we should be able to get our certificate and be good to move forward. So that's all good news there. The next thing that I have for you is I really appreciate feedback from my staff. And so last year I gave them this feedback form. It's very simple. It's ask 3 questions. And then there's obviously room for additional comments, questions, or concerns for me, but it's basically what should I keep doing? What should I start doing? What should I stop doing? And I was just asked that it was just shared with me that I needed to get permission from the board to hand that out to my staff. So I guess I'm asking you for permission twice. I'm really asking you for permission to give that to my high school staff because it's important that I feel like it's important that I collect that. And then also to give it to the elementary staff at some point before I go that direction, just so I can learn a little bit about them too. And it doesn't do anything for my evaluation or anything like that. It really is just for me and my own personal feedback from my staff because sometimes it's just easier for them to write it out than for me to walk around and ask lots of questions all the time. So just asking for that permission. And then last, just because it's something new, we are going to host girls region basketball games on Tuesday the 20th. So we'll have 2 games in building next Tuesday. We'll have one at 6 o'clock. It'll be Freeman versus the number 7 seed. Those, I think that's going to happen tomorrow. And then 7:30, we'll have the number 3 versus the number 6. So that's going to happen next Tuesday, just so people are aware of that. And that is all I have.
In regards to approving the principal feedback form, what would be the?
Well, I think we're all interested in continuous feedback. I think what would be a good pairing with part of my superintendent report was that we have the stuff that's very close to having the staff survey completed. So that could be a nice thing to pair with the staff survey and send out to our teachers. And
does it require a motion though that we the feedback form?
I think that's up to the board whether you want to make a motion or not, or get feedback. I'm happy to make a survey.
Okay, so we can add that after the minute.
Yeah. I'm not opposed to it in any form, so I'm happy to make the motion to approve Ms. Youngke's.
Second. Cody. Melissa. All in favor? Opposed? Superintendent report. Sorry, Jake. Just wanted to make sure we got that.
School Board Recognition Week is February 19th to 23rd. I want to take a moment to recognize our board members. I know it's not always easy work and appreciate the work that you do. I'm currently working with a company to improve on something that it's been on my list for the last year or so. When we walk around to our classrooms, we have signage that is evacuation routes for fire drill and shelter areas for severe weather, and it's hand drawn on. It just doesn't look very nice. It's not very professionally fancy. It's not. It just doesn't look very professional at all. So I've been working with a company to supply our blueprints of our building and work on updating those maps. Something that we can pair with our emergency response flip charts, which is another thing I'm working on, having professionally printed. Those flip charts will be going to each classroom, typically in the teacher's desk drawer. Something that if there is an emergency, that they have that response, that they would open it up, they would flip it open, Another thing that it's commonly used for, if we're doing a drill, that they would pull that out and they would read what the response is, what location that they would evacuate to, what is the process, what is the procedure. So something that will be happening within hopefully the next month. We'll provide it and update it in each classroom. We're in the process of putting together the civil rights data, or filling out civil rights data collection. It's one of the things that's not the most riveting thing to do, but that was a nice thing to get checked off the list for the years that we have to have that done, and that is due on February 26th. We're well on track to have that done by that deadline. I agree with Katie that I think the process for the principal interviews went really well, and we had a great group of people that were part of that process, and thank all the individuals from the teachers, the students, the administration, and the board that were part of that process. So thank you for making that go smoothly. I'm very excited to announce that I think we have found a driver's ed instructor. That's something that hasn't been in the district for a number of years. We've been pairing with Freeman Academy and using their instructor. Their instructor is teaching one class between Marion and Freeman Academy kids. And she's going to teach a second class. It will be strictly for Freeman public kids. So we're going to have the registration that's going to be posted in the office starting next week. We'll have the announcements that students can start picking up driver's ed forms. We'll also put it on social media. And then the deadline to submit those forms is May 10th. There's a draft of the letter that would go out to the parents, and then on the back side is the driver's education enrollment form. If you have any feedback on that, please get that feedback to me by the end of this week. We can make any adjustments to that document. May 10th is the date that that form is due back from the parents. If they wants to be part of driver's ed for this summer.
Moving on to unfinished business, the school board will continue the discussion of adding a preschool program for the 2024-25 school year.
In your packet, the last 2 pages, there's some financial information for what the cost would be for all of our additional addings that we're looking at improving with from the CTE teacher, the additional elementary teacher, which would be the first grade teacher that was approved, and then the preschool teacher as well. It's got the estimated total salary with benefit and South Dakota retirement as well. And that's the total cost. Some questions on that document?
So it looked like the number shifted from 14 to we would need a minimum of 10 to sustain the classroom.
But if we didn't have 10, the 4-year-olds, we could charge 4-year-olds.
To offset some of that cost.
Depending upon what numbers and ages.
So I think that's something that would be done through screening, seeing what our enrollment would be, and then we could decide whether we need to charge to offset the cost.
I did see on social media that there's a survey for parents too. Should they have preschool age children to gauge interest? Was there a deadline for that?
I have a deadline. I can tell you right now, I've got live my answers. Okay. So if I scroll down, I've got 17 responses since this morning. So the one question, there's some questions in there, really, we just kind of wanted to identify the kids in our district that were under the age of 5, so we can get them on our list anyway. But there are 2 questions. Probably the most important question is if offered in the 24-25 school year, would any of the following programs be of interest to you? And full-time junior kindergarten, we had 6 people say yes. Preschool, 6 people say yes, just because you pay $1 over the other based on the age of your child.
Sure.
And then 5, just saying that my child does not qualify for either of those programs, and then to one person saying we're not currently interested in junior kindergarten. So right now, 6 junior kindergarten, 6 preschool is from the survey of 17 people from this morning.
Yeah, I think there's interest in it. I think the model that you pulled, the variance. Somebody pulled a model about in-district kids take precedent over out-of-district.
Right.
I can't remember all the parts of it. It all sounded well, as long as we can afford it, not at the cost of a CTE. I wouldn't be opposed to it.
I think at this point, I mean, especially if 6 potential kids, I mean, I would feel comfortable with it, with the budget. And if we have to charge, but with the goal of being free.
Send that survey.
Just this morning, it was out on social media. Yeah.
We have facility space available within on our plan for splitting classrooms.
Classroom, I mean, we gotta shift some things around, but free up the classroom space, and it's a classroom that's set up for.
We'll take it on Angelie's advice if she feels that confident that we can afford it, then we'll stand in them.
I know the input that I've gotten from the public has been very enthusiastic about the potential for this program. Certainly something that other surrounding districts offer that we do not. I agree, I'm in favor of it.
It's getting educated.
Right.
For it.
I'm in for granted.
So that's something,
Deadline for the grant that's FCDC is applying for is Friday. Getting a few items that submitted. Staffing with that, all the funds have to be spent by September 1st. So staffing would be a challenge to.
Right.
Right.
What's the cost for it?
I was running down the list, I feel like I'm
Stuff.
Still waiting for me, right?
I don't know where everybody else was.
I'm good. I don't have any questions.
If there's no further discussion, I'll require a motion to approve the hiring of an additional elementary teacher for the 2024-25 year. Do I have a motion? By Cody, do I have a second? Second. Second by Carissa. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is new business. Number 1, the school board will hold a discussion about staffing for the special needs classroom.
I've been in conversation with Rebecca Hofer, who's currently the individual that's overseeing the special needs classroom. Katie and I have discussed maybe blending the special needs classroom with the resource room. We feel that our numbers are in a good spot to where caseload-wise, that would not be anything something that's manageable for Rebecca to be able to do that. Programming-wise, we can still offer programming that we're currently offering, but we can do that at a more of a condensed rate. So basically what's being proposed would be that we do not rehire the classroom teacher for the special needs classroom, that we absorb that caseload within the resource room. We will have a small expense of relocating the sensory room, but the sensory room is also what we're targeting for the preschool program as well, so that would need to get moved anyway. fairly significant savings that would save the district with the amount of $99,475.66, which also then helps to justify our adding of a CTE teacher as well.
We need to make a motion or anything to not rehire for that position, the position that's currently posted?
I think we could.
We probably should.
Practice with that.
Is there any further discussion?
How much room is left in that, in those two?
There's a lot for students if we can.
So we were exploring the idea that we would use the computer lab that's right by the counseling office, right directly across from Rebecca Hofer's for the classroom and sensory room, and embed the two, since we would have basically a caseload of 2 individuals as all that would be using that for most of the day. I had a discussion with the paras in that classroom, and they felt that maybe there's some concerns with that, blending the classroom and the resource room, so we're going to go back and revisit that, but the thought that was presented from the paras was keeping the classroom the way it is. It's got a sink in it, it's got a bathroom in it, so that would be a good home location for the students, and then mainstreaming them into Rebecca's room, or any classrooms that technically wouldn't be mainstreaming, but pulling them out for resources in the resource room, and then trying to mainstream any students that are in that classroom as much as possible. Really, what's presenting this as an opportunity is a sign of the program working. This program has been in place for a number of years. The kids are starting to grow, and they've been through the program. They've worked hard to work towards those goals that are set in their IEPs, and it's put them in a good spot to where they can be in the classroom, that they can handle being in the classroom for a longer period of time, which then in turn gives us the ability for that to be absorbed up the caseload, so they can be either in the special needs room or in the classroom, and then pulled out into her classroom for any supports that she has to offer. Throughout the next 2 to 3 years, those kids are going to be transitioning from that side of the room, or that side of the school, to this side. So it's another reason why this is a good time for us to look at absorbing that classroom.
Any questions? Discussion? No further discussion. I will take a motion to absorb the open staffing position for the special needs classroom and not rehire that position. Do I have a motion? Doug? Motion by Doug. Do I have a second? Second. By Carissa. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries. Next item on the agenda, the school board will first reading the proposed 2024-2025 district calendar.
Copy of that proposed calendar is in your packet. There is still a little bit of work that needs to be done on that, where Katie's going to look at midterm dates and get those adjusted on there. Right now, they're just rolled over from the coinciding date from last year. Sheila's here. She was part of the calendar committee. Appreciate the work that her and a few other staff members that were part of that team. And this is the second year in a row where we've, last year I think we were able to accommodate all the requests from the calendar committee. This year we did some nice work, and there was not nearly the amount of requests from last year to this year, so that's a pretty good sign that we're getting a favorable schedule that's put in place. So appreciate the input from staff and the work that staff put into to help make that calendar happen. And this is just the first reading. We'll continue to polish it up and get those other dates that need to be adjusted if the board sees any mistakes. And we've had multiple eyes looking at this time and time again, and it's amazing how having that many eyes, there can still be a tiny little mistake certain places. So
Number of Flyer Fridays as we have this year?
we actually increased the Flyer Fridays at the request of the committee. They wanted to see it balanced out to have 4 and 4, so we have 4 each semester. This past year we had 3 semester 1 and 4 semester 2.
So just barely, sure. Starting after I guess I don't know when the Turner County Fair is, but I know that's always.
Yeah. through Thursday, the August 15th.
Okay, perfect, good. That's always a minor concern. And the parent teacher conference is similar to,
Yeah, we learned the setup that we had this year, first semester, staff didn't enjoy that setup, full day of conferences, it just didn't flow well. So the request of staff was to go back to
the 2 half-days.
It works really well. High school conferences are just a whole setup. Mark under September, that would be for homecoming. We'll have an early dismissal on that date. We do not know what our football schedule is yet, so put that homecoming date in there. Hopefully we can do that for the next couple weeks. Other things worthy of noting, you see the asterisks, the staff, and it has the key at the bottom. I'm gonna have to look at that. That did not show up, but at the bottom left corner, it's supposed to have the asterisks, and then that equals days when staff can leave at noon.
Oh, sure.
And then you can see that there's asterisks on November 27th, December 20th, and then the homecoming date. That ends up being also at request of the committee.
Any other questions? Because we'll revisit this again. This is just the first reading. We'll revisit this again. All right, next on the agenda, the school board will hold a discussion about potential dates for teacher negotiations.
So executive session ends on March 25th, so any date after March 25th, we can move forward with negotiations.
March 25th? I just couldn't remember what.
Available anytime.
Looking at like that week of the 25th, we could, for?
Monday is when the last day of legislation meets.
So then that would-
veto day, so
Right.
we would know for sure what the education budget is gonna be, which means we would know what our percent increase is gonna be, so. Probably
Well, with that-
probably would be nice, and we usually have indicators, leading up to that, but there's always that chance that something could change on that date, so it might not be a bad idea to, if we did that week, to do it like on Thursday of that week.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at too.
Angela had,
Yeah, does that give you some time to crunch some numbers and come up with some options? Like that.
Bond Day Thursday, if that affects anybody. Don't worry about it.
Anybody else have do you want to throw out a couple dates or one?
probably a good idea.
Yeah. Okay, so. Right, yeah. 28th. School on
First for an alternative.
Easter Monday, that's fine with me.
Fine with me.
Sound good? David, okay for your schedule? It's either March 28th or April 1st. Next item on the agenda, the school board will perform the second reading of the following district policies: agenda preparation and dissemination, introduction to public forums, library material selection and adoption, use of artificial intelligence technology, student contact, facility use regulation, and library materials opt-out.
Two of those policies I've gone through and included in your packet and did the red lines for the updates that we had from the last meeting.
Right.
The policy review to the board meeting, so wasn't able to have the updates. I only included the two that we had updates for. Question that I had for the policy review committee, I believe what we discussed is that policy, the library materials selection and adoption that we are existing policy, so that would be a strike through for the final approval. We would not approve that one, because we already have approved, that policy is already in place. And then also, correct me if I'm wrong here, but library materials and opt-out form, we did not feel that that was necessary, so that one would be removed. Is that accurate?
Yes.
So those two would be removed for the next board meeting when we approve those.
Approve them at the final reading. Okay. Any other comments, discussion, questions? We already talked through these at the previous boards. All right, next item on the agenda, the school board will hear a report from the Facilities and Grounds Committee.
Railings are being installed on the stadium this week. Finishing up next. We met as a committee tonight along with the representatives from the Lions Club about the softball complex. Decision was made. We've received a bid estimate from SPN, and our next step is to bring in a representative from the city council, who's heading up that side from the city, and someone from Summer Rec, so we can further discuss what the partnership looks like, tenants, lease agreements, things like that. Come back with a number to target and a potential phasing versus 2.
Anything else to add, Cody?
The words right out of my mouth.
Okay. Any other questions before we move on? All right, next item on the agenda, the school board will hear an update from the fundraiser executive committee. Probably same that you just said. Yep, folded it in. Perfect. Okay. Next item on the agenda is, again, an amendment to discuss future board meetings, future board meeting dates. I'm going to propose that we hold a special board meeting on Monday, February 19th at 7 p.m. And then I do have a conflict for the March 11th meeting. We'll be able to find an alternative date for that meeting as well. Is that up a week? The 4th? That works for me. Otherwise, I could, the other option, I could buzz out early and take an early flight on the 13th and be back by the evening time if we wanted to keep it that same week. I know the 4th too is for Angelita. I mean, you, financial report, stuff like that.
No, we could make it work.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay. Thoughts on what works best for people versus the 13th? All right, then I will require a motion to add a special board meeting on Monday, February 19th, 7 p.m., as well as move the March 11th regularly scheduled board meeting to March 4th, again at 7 p.m. Do we have a motion? Motion by Carissa, heard her first. Second by Doug? By Doug. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Okay, next item on the agenda is adjournment. Will require a motion to adjourn the regularly scheduled February 14th, 2024 Board of Education meeting at 8:24 p.m. Do I have a motion? Motion by David. Do I have a second? Second by Cody. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, everybody. I'm grabbing one of those cupcakes. Is that full caffeinated coffee over there?
I don't know.
Decaf? Decaf?
Where did it come from?
Good.
Low table.
You got them early and baked?
Okay, what's wrong with the Imagine if there was a collaboration.
Amazing.
Thanks again for the Valentine, Katie. Very special. All those boys in my house. Do I need to keep these at all? Is this public input? Or
I'll take them just in case. I better check.
yeah, thank you.
I'm gonna read fast.
I'll give you a minute, yeah.
Numbers that move.
My husband is probably still at darts.
Just
Not like the lunch kids.
Excuse.
Doing a glassing of